I'd like to welcome in our guest, Jack Johnson from Locked On Royals.
What's up, Jack? How you doing today, man?
Hey, we're doing pretty good over here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, Jack, big series this weekend between the Guardians and the Royals. First game tonight on Apple TV. And this one has a little bit of wild card implications. If nothing else, at least bragging rights. I know Cleveland won 2 of the first 3 games of the series, but the Guardians are red hot. The Royals, give us a little bit of information on how KC is doing headed into this series.
Yeah, I mean they've been playing better baseball in the month of July. They're 11-7 through these first 18 games, but still they've got so many teams they're chasing in the wild card picture. I mean they're 4.5 games back of that final wild card spot. This, of course, is going to dictate a lot going into the trade deadline next week. Cleveland, a team that has always given them tons of issues, whether that series be played in Kansas City, whether that series be played in Cleveland. They just always seem to have their number, and I think that J.J. Bacola, the GM of this squad, understands that for this team to be a buyer, for this team to really make a push in the second half, they're going to need to win this series, or more than that, sweep the Guardians, which just never seems to happen every time these two teams square off.
Well, Jack, that's what I wanted to ask you. Are they buyers or sellers, or is it still to be determined after the weekend? And it sounds like it's still to be determined after the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit TBD for now. We've been hearing so much that, the goal is still to compete in 2026. So we might see a little bit of buying. We might see a little bit of selling. I've tried to wrap my mind around that, on what that could possibly look like. A lot of baseball fans know out there that Seth Lugo is their number one trade chip.
Yep.
They don't have a loaded farm system. So if I was to tell you right now, my gut feeling is that they do trade Seth Lugo, but their goal is to look for an outfielder with multiple years of control. Now, is a team going to give them that for a 35-year-old rental that's likely to decline the qualifying offer? It's going to be tough to say so. I mean, the Cubs seem to be like a team that could match up, but they seem very adamant about not trading Owen Casey unless it was a starter with multiple years of control. That could be Chris Bubich in the Royals rotation, but they seem like they want to hang on to him as well. So I could see them trading away Seth Lugo, trying to get an outfielder that is a upper-end prospect, might be blocked somewhere. And then it wouldn't surprise me either if they tried to trade away, a couple of their top 15 prospects in the system and get another starter to replace Seth Lugo in the rotation.
Any chance Carlos Estevez moves?
I would say it's certainly a possibility. When they brought him in to be their closer, I mean, he's got an extra year here, and then he's got another option for a third year. But he's been somebody that I believe has overexceeded maybe in the first, 102, 103 games than what they thought he could be. He's got 26 saves this year, but they keep saying over and over again, the goal is to contend in 2026, whether that be contend for a playoff spot, division title, World Series. That'll remain to be seen until we see what they do in the offseason. But if they get the right price, if they have a team that is so desperate for a closer and they can get help for this offense, I'm not going to rule it out whatsoever, because they've got a couple of guys that can close out games. Lucas Ursig is still somebody they've got on multiple years of control. Steven Cruz has really popped in the bullpen with high-powered, upper 90s stuff with a 92-mile-an-hour slider. There are guys to replace him, but if they don't get the right asking price there, if they really don't have a team that desperately wants him, I'm probably going to say they're going to hold on to him.
I think this is a little bit of a strange question, because, I go back and I remember, the Royals, in those a couple years winning the World Series and then going to the World Series. And in Kansas City, I kind of compare it to, like, in Cleveland, the Browns can do whatever they want to. And we're still going to pull up and show up and give them attention. What is the feel for the Royals in Kansas City behind the backdrop of having the Chiefs being there, but also being a team that not too far ago, you guys won a championship and was one of the best teams in baseball. Is that still reminiscent today with the fan base, and do they kind of resonate with that? And how patient are they with the kind of rebuild that's been going over the last couple years?
Yeah, it's a great question. nobody can deny that Kansas City loves its football, and it's helped out, with Patrick Mahomes and what they've done over the last, decade, basically, and being so successful, getting to where the franchise had never really been before, just multiple Super Bowls back to back and winning double-digit games all the time. But you look at the Royals and what they mean to the city, they're still incredibly important. I wouldn't say that it's an organization that on a Monday night you're going to be putting 30,000 people into the stands, right? It's just not likely. Baseball's different, of course, than football. You play every single day, and football plays once a week. But this is a very passionate city when it comes to the Royals. When they're playing well, they absolutely are going to show up. And if you continue to play well, that's only going to increase. The unfortunate part is that over the course of their existence, really going back to, when they first won the World Series in 1985. I know they began in 1969, but in 1985 they won the World Series, and then they went 29 years between a playoff appearance. Their next playoff appearance was 2014, when then they got to the World Series and lost in Game 7 to the Giants. So there was a long time of just nothing but losing, 100 lost seasons. Having the season basically wrapped up by May, and it was tough to watch. Lots of managers in and out. There wasn't always a star player to look forward to. And then after they won the World Series in 2015, they went through a little bit of a lull again, where they were competitive in 16, they were competitive in 17, but they lost 100-plus games in 18, 100-plus games in 19, weren't competitive in the COVID year, weren't really competitive in 21, 22, or 23. Now, last year, they get to the ALDS, and you could just see how the city embraced them once again. It almost felt like a sigh of relief. Like, finally, they have gotten back to that competitive level. But I will say this year it has been incredibly frustrating to go from a postseason appearance, which you hadn't been to the playoffs since 2015, and now they're just kind of hovering around 500, a few games under, which has frustrated a lot of fans that had the expectation of they're going to take off after getting back to the playoffs.
Jack, I got a real question and kind of a silly one to wrap it up here. But first, what is it about the Guardians that have given the Royals so many issues over the last couple of years? Why is it such a tough matchup for them?
Yeah, I believe it's been the pitching. I mean, Cleveland is just known as a pitching factory. And, the Royals now have Brian Sweeney as their pitching coach, who, of course, has ties to Cleveland. And he's transformed the entire pitching staff. I mean, you go 2-3 years ago, the Royals were just scrapping together who they wanted to throw every fifth day, it felt like. And when he got to the organization, you were starting to see stuff out of guys that you never really thought they could have that type of arsenal, or you never thought they could throw that hard or have that type of spin rate. And for Cleveland, man, for so many years, I know you guys know this better than anybody, but it was like every fifth day in the rotation, somebody was going to start and give you 6 innings of shutout ball, or have a complete game shutout against the Royals. And that was so tough to compete against, because even in years where the Royals had a good offense, it was like, okay, well, you might be able to dodge Corey Kluber, or you might be able to dodge Shane Bieber. But then you're going to get this guy in Game 2 or Game 3 of the series that's going to be not as tough to hit, but still pretty damn tough to hit. And the Royals were just not able to match that in those series. And even if they had their ace throwing, like, they might lose that game 2-1. And then just when you think, oh, you might have an upper hand on the Guardians offense, they don't have the same type of thump in the middle of the order, they're going to erupt for 10 or 11 games. So whether it be a mental thing that they can't get over, anytime I see Cleveland on the schedule, I go, you're going to be lucky to take 2 out of 3 in this series. And I know for this specific one, man, the Royals desperately need 2 of 3, or as I said earlier, they really need a sweep to put themselves in a buyer's conversation.
Jack, we'll get you out of here on this, but I want you to put on your GM hat for a second. We're approaching the trade deadline. If Cleveland called Kansas City and offered their entire farm system, every single player on every minor league team in the farm system for Bobby Witt Jr., what do you say?
Oh, man, that's such a good – so you're getting
every single AAA, AA, single A, high A, low A, Arizona Complex League, all the facilities, all the concession money for the rest of this year, all of it.
I mean, if you're getting that many players, right? I haven't looked at where Cleveland's ranked in the farm system right now.
It's pretty good.
But I guess then there you go. So you trade away Bobby Witt Jr., and you're going to be able to start making deals elsewhere and try to replace the production you got from Bobby Witt Jr. But as much as my Royals followers are going to hate me, you get that many players involved in a deal, you can figure out how to reload the roster after that.
Would it change your mind if I told you the Guardians haven't produced a single quality hitting prospect in like 53 years?
Yeah, I didn't finish the sentence. The farm system's decent, but none of them work out.
Well, there has been a little bit of that in Kansas City as well. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. Has been a superstar, but he was seen as a can't-miss guy, him and Adley Rutschman in that draft. So I can't really credit the developing of him. Although Vinny Pasquantino was somebody that was a later-round pick between, I want to say he was a 9th rounder out of Old Dominion, and he's turned into an above-league average bat. But, I can sympathize with that you've got some top prospects before, they just never amount into something. So maybe that would change my opinion a little bit, that if I get, 50, 60 players or however many it'd be in return, and not one of them turns into something, I guess I'll be fired shortly after.
Awesome. That is Jack Johnson from the Locked On Royals podcast. Jack, thanks for joining us today. Make sure you check him out on YouTube on the Locked On Network podcast family. He's part of us. We're part of them. Jack, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.